How many times do you actually think about all the positive things about yourself and the things you do well in life in comparison to all the bad things or the quote unquote negative things that you do? Hello and welcome back to another episode of Men Know Something, our bonus episode of our main podcast, Men Know Nothing. My name is Dwayne. I am one out of two of Men Know Nothing, and today we are going to be talking about green flags in dating. But before we get into it, as always, please like, share, comment, subscribe, rate, all that good things on everything across Men Know Nothing. Help us get a bit bigger reach and also help us starting to make some money into our back pocket because we've been doing this a while. Well, like 3 years, 2.5 years. But anyway, I digress. But yes, welcome back. And today we're talking about, like I said, green flags when dating. And I think the reason why I'm doing this today is because I find that there is a lot of onus and a lot of attention that is put on, I guess, red flags when it comes to dating. We never really talk about, I guess, the good things that men or women should possess that makes them someone that is dateable. We always seem to focus on the negative as humans. And that's one of the reasons why I've decided to basically talk about green flags, stuff that you should look out for and think, this is something that I could actually vibe with. This is someone that I think I could spend an extended period of time with because they're showing me all these little signs of someone that is partner worthy or family worthy. And I think the first thing that I want to go into when it comes to red flags is that there's a significant number of people who are, I guess, more attuned to noticing red flags. And this is probably due to, I guess, the psychological tendency known as negative bias. And it's basically where your negative experiences or traits are more likely to be noticed and remembered than your positive ones. So if you were to really sit back and think, whenever you think about your own self and how you view yourself in this world, like how many times do you actually think about all the positive things about yourself and the things you do well in life in comparison to all the bad things or the quote unquote negative things that you do? Because for most people, it would be the negative that we'd focus on. We focus on the fact that, I didn't hit my PB into the gym, but we never focus on the fact that we've actually come a long way to even get to the point of maybe trying to hit that PB. Or some of us will maybe finish and end in a relationship, and we always focus on the negative aspects of the relationship and why it ended, instead of looking at the relationship as this beautiful experience of events and things that I was able to learn as I basically navigated that relationship and it just didn't work. So that's kind of the thought process in the conversation that we're having today. I'm basically looking at green flags that I guess you should be looking out for if you are either looking to date or currently dating, or even if you're with a long-term partner and you may be struggling. So the first green flag I'm going to say is someone who is willing to be open about, I guess, their past, their present, and where they see their future. And now, let me preface this by saying, speaking about these things very, very early can be a red flag. So with a lot of these bits of advice that we give, it's always on us to have the ability to critically think and assess whether this situation that I'm dealing with is a red flag or a green flag, because depending on the timeline in which certain conversations happen, it can be a green flag and it can be a red flag. For example, if you start dating someone and on the first date they start talking about their ex and how much certain things that their ex did was actually hurtful and has traumatized you, that is a red flag. But if you've been dating someone for an extended period of time and you're comfortable and you are emotionally connected, sexually connected, and they do start to talk about their past with their ex, then you could deem that as a green flag. Because you want someone who's willing to talk about their past relationships so you can then further understand who they are, why they are the way they are, and I guess where they potentially see the current relationship that they're in moving forward. So meeting someone who's able to communicate things of that nature very healthily without actually emotionally dumping on you is a massive green flag. And hopefully, if the relationship that you're in is healthy, then they obviously feel as if you're someone that they can trust to, I guess, impart this kind of information on. So definitely, as always, keep a bit of discernment when this is happening and try to understand whether you're at a point in the relationship where you think this is appropriate for each other talking about, because it's going to be different for everyone. Number 2, communication during the dating process is a massive green flag. And what I mean by that is when someone values consistency and thoughtful communication throughout the early stages of dating, it actually sets you up with an idea of what they potentially could be if this were to go further on. If they're able to communicate with you and say, let's hang out in this date, this time, this location, happy days, taking charge. If then post date they're able to communicate with you and say, I had a great time, we should definitely do that again, there is a massive, massive importance in that person actually reaching out to you before and even after the date. And why I say before is because I feel like I've spoken to a lot of people about this where they've maybe, let's go for a dating app, they've matched with someone on the dating app, they've set up a date maybe a week prior to the actual date day. And sometimes if that person doesn't then follow up with them either the day before or the morning of the date, they usually are under the impression that, one, the date's not going to happen because I haven't heard from you in a week, or two, you obviously aren't interested enough just to confirm that everything else is still going ahead. I always say reaching out before and after the date is very much a green flag because it shows that they are most definitely someone who's able to communicate on a very, very high frequency and level. When it comes to research in relationship psychology, it actually suggests that noticing and appreciating green flags builds a very emotionally stable relationship. So keep that in mind, and also correlates to a long-term relationship as well. So whenever you notice that, it's definitely something you should hold on to, and hopefully it's something that will continue to be a staple in this potential relationship. Now, number 3, financial literacy and responsibility. And now, they talk about, I wouldn't even say money, they talk about finances. Let's say finances, because money and finances are different. You want to know that someone is good with their finance and they're not out spending every single bit of money that they have, because that is not someone that will be potentially a great partner in the future when, as the relationship grows, you may have investments, you may want to buy a house, you may want to have kids. So you want to know that someone that you're dating is very much aware of how to manage their finances and is very good at being aware of when they're spending too much money and when they need to kind of pull back and basically reallocate that cash. And financial responsibility in itself is a great indicator of your overall maturity, I feel anyway. If you're in your late 20s into your 30s and you've had a full-time job for an extended period of time and you don't have any kind of savings or any kind of investments, that for me is a red flag. So someone who has that is 100% a green flag. And obviously there are going to be different scenarios when it comes to finances, that people have had hardships or they may have gone through a certain time in their life where they were in a place where they weren't able to save and they were living paycheck to paycheck. That is fine. Every scenario is different. But if we're thinking from a generalistic standpoint when it comes to this, if someone isn't financially literate or has not the ability to save or be aware of their expenditure, then that's something that you should really look at. But if someone does have that, green flag. Sorry for singing. I'm not sorry, actually. So number 4, there is an alignment with their behavior and their emotions. And what I mean by that is that they're able to communicate their thoughts and their emotion and feelings towards you, but that also is matched with action. Because you don't want someone who speaks great things and never actually puts them into action, but you also sometimes don't want someone who only does action but never actually tells you how they feel, or tells you their thoughts, or tells you where they feel the relationship is going. People say actions speak louder than words, but I think actions and words every time. Every single time. And whenever the actions and the words match, it demonstrates a level of genuine interest for you, because then you know, oh, this person's not just talking the talk, they're actually walking it. So that's definitely a massive green flag. So number 5 is the respect of your physical boundaries. And what I mean by that is, it's the importance of being able to move at a pace that is comfortable for both you and the other party. Because if you're dating someone and maybe it could be 3 dates in and you're someone who likes to wait a while before you become physically intimate with someone, if you're able to comfortably voice this to this person, and when I say comfortably, I mean you're able to go up to them confidently, knowing that their reaction to this situation that you're going to present to them, if you go up to them with that action, knowing that their reaction is going to be a positive one, then that is a green flag. I think the first red flag in this situation is if you feel as if you're not ready to be intimate and you feel overly anxious and nervous about bringing that to them. That should be a first sign that maybe this person hasn't created a safe space for you to actually have these kind of conversations and actually for you to be vulnerable, I guess. So that's important. They have to have the physical boundary. They also need to, I guess, respect the boundary that you set and not try to push it. Because people can say that they respect your boundary, but then every time they may be in the same room or in bed with you, they keep trying to push that to see if you'll finally cave. Now, if this is someone that does that, then that is a red flag. So if you find someone who's willing or is respecting the boundaries that you set, and they are showing signs of care and understanding for those boundaries, whether they know your history or not, that is a green flag. Now, I think to round up, I think it's important for us to really recognize the importance of noticing green flags, because like I said at the beginning, we have this tendency as humans to kind of always look for the negatives, but it's equally as important to look for the positives in people, because I feel like a lot of people out here are really trying, and a lot of us are really trying to fix those quote unquote red flags that we have. So sometimes it's in our best interest to sometimes really look for the green flags that people show, because then I feel like life might be a lot better. The dating game might be a lot better. Look for those green flags. Celebrate those green flags. Tell people about their green flags. I love the fact that you listen when I speak. I love the fact that when we first met, that when I set my boundaries in terms of being intimate with you, you didn't push back, you were caring and you were understanding. Highlight people's green flags, because we're so quick to highlight people's red flags. So why not highlight the green flags and let people know what they do well? And I think there's a growing trend when it comes to dating advice and relationship coaching that emphasizes the importance for looking for green flags. So there seems to be a shift in terms of a healthier way of thinking when it comes to dating, because if we do stick with this healthier way of thinking, it's going to lead to more fulfilling, loving relationships. And the only way you can do that is by focusing on the positive traits and also focusing on your compatibility with the person that's performing these positive traits. So, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. I hope I haven't bored you. I hope you take some of this information and run with it. And as always, please like, subscribe, share, comment, rate us 5 stars, and give us all the reviews, because it's going to help us. It's going to help us keep the wheels turning. All right. That's it for now. Enjoy yourself. Goodbye.